Use these as guidelines. Silence is not empty. Silence is information without permission. Anger announces itself. Silence observes. And the human mind fears what it cannot read. Before we begin, understand this clearly. This is not motivation. This is not comfort. This is psychology stripped of emotion. If you are here to understand human behavior, power dynamics, and the quiet mechanisms that shape respect, fear, and control, stay with me until the end. And if you value calm intelligence over noise, subscribe to this channel. Not for content, for awareness. Now listen carefully. Anger is predictable. When someone is angry, their intentions leak. Their voice rises, their body tenses, their weakness becomes visible. But silence does not leak. Silence conceals, and what humans cannot predict, they fear. The human brain is designed to scan for threats. When anger appears, the threat is named. When silence appears, the threat is unknown. Unknown threats activate deeper fear centers than visible ones. This is why silence scares people more than anger. Anger gives closure. Silence creates stories. And the human mind always writes darker stories than reality. When you react with anger, you give people something to fight, manipulate, dismiss, or exploit. When you respond with silence, you give them nothing. And nothing is terrifying. Silence forces self-reflection. Anger distracts from it. When someone shouts, the listener focuses outward. When someone stays silent, the listener turns inward. They begin asking questions they cannot answer. What did I do wrong? What is being judged? What is coming next? Silence removes emotional certainty, and emotional uncertainty is one of the most uncomfortable psychological states known to humans. This discomfort grows when the silence comes from someone calm. Calm silence is interpreted as control. The louder a person is, the less power they are assumed to have. The quieter a person is, the more authority they are suspected to hold, because power does not need to explain itself. Silence suggests that you are thinking while others are reacting, and thinking always dominates reacting. Anger signals loss of control. Silence signals retained control. Even when you feel intense emotion, choosing silence communicates dominance over self, and self-control is the foundation of all external power. People respect those who can restrain themselves. They fear those who can restrain themselves while watching. Silence turns the attention back onto the other person. Without words to respond to, their mind fills the gap. They replay conversations. They reinterpret moments. They magnify details. Silence turns memory into a weapon. Anger ends a moment. Silence extends it. And extended psychological pressure is far more powerful than momentary confrontation. This is why interrogators use silence. This is why negotiators pause. This is why powerful individuals speak less, not more. Because silence creates imbalance. The one who speaks reveals. The one who listens collects. In any interaction, information equals leverage. Silence gathers leverage without resistance. Anger destroys leverage by exposing intent. Silence allows intent to remain hidden, and hidden intent unsettles people. People are not afraid of what you say. They are afraid of what you might do. Silence suggests preparation. The mind associates silence with calculation, even when none exists. This is the illusion of power silence creates. Now understand this deeper. Silence activates guilt. When someone expects anger and receives silence instead, their brain assumes moral judgment, not because you judge them, but because their conscience did. Silence acts as a mirror. It forces people to confront their own behavior without defense. Anger gives them an enemy. Silence gives them themselves. and many people cannot tolerate that. This is why silence makes people over-explain, over-apologize, overcompensate. They try to fill the void, but every word they add weakens their position because silence never contradicts itself. Words do. Silence cannot be quoted, twisted, or used against you. Anger can. Silence leaves no evidence. In power dynamics, the one who leaves no trace remains untouchable. This is why silence is often mistaken for coldness. But it is not cold, it is controlled heat. Energy stored, not wasted. Anger is energy released without direction. Silence is energy held with intention. Now consider this. People who fear silence are usually afraid of losing control over perception. They rely on emotional reactions to measure influence. When silence removes those reactions, their sense of dominance collapses. They no longer know where they stand, and uncertainty weakens confidence. Silence destabilizes hierarchy, especially used by someone expected to react. Silence breaks scripts. Human interactions run on scripts. Anger follows a script. Silence does not. When you break a script, you force adaptation, and adaptation requires effort. The mind resists effort. This is why silence exhausts people more than conflict. Conflict ends, silence lingers, and lingering psychological pressure drains energy. This is also why silence should be used selectively, not constantly. Silence gains power through rarity. When you speak rarely, your silence becomes noticeable, and noticeable silence becomes threatening. Now understand the darker layer. Silence allows projection. People project their fears, insecurities, and intentions onto quiet individuals. They assume judgment, they assume superiority, they assume danger. Not because you are dangerous, but because they don't know your limits. Predictability is safety. Silence removes predictability, and humans crave safety. Anger, no matter how intense, is familiar. Silence is unfamiliar, and unfamiliarity activates fear. This is why silence often provokes aggression. People try to force a reaction, because a reaction restores predictability. If someone tries to provoke you when you are silent, it is not strength, it is discomfort seeking relief. Now let this sink in slowly. Silence shifts the power of interpretation. Whoever speaks last defines the meaning, but silence delays the ending, and delayed endings feel unresolved. Unresolved situations occupy mental space. That space becomes yours. You live in their thoughts without effort. Anger fades quickly. Silence echoes. This is why some conversations are remembered for years, not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't. Now listen carefully. Silence is not passive. It is active restraint. It is the decision to let others expose themselves, to let time reveal truth, to let pressure build naturally. Silence does not seek dominance. It allows dominance to appear. Those who master silence do not fear confrontation. They choose when to engage. That choice alone creates authority, because authority is choice, not volume. As you fall deeper into this understanding, notice your own reactions. Notice how silence affects you. Notice how gaps in sound feel heavier than noise. That weight is psychological, and psychology is power when understood. This channel exists to help you understand that power, quietly, without noise, without emotion. If this perspective resonates with you, subscribe, not to hear more, but to see more. Now allow your mind to slow. Let the silence between thoughts stretch. Let awareness replace reaction. And remember this one truth. Anger shows what you feel. Silence makes others feel. And the one who controls emotion controls the interaction. Rest in that understanding. Let it sink in. And sleep knowing that sometimes the strongest response is no response at all.